Do you need a mom mentor? What does it mean to have a mom mentor? How do you find one? What does this relationship look like even when you might have one? My name is Lisa Canning, and this is what we are tackling today on the Possibility Mom Live. I'm going to be super duper honest and transparent with y'all. If you have been following me for a while, you know that this is just what I do. There's no other way to go about it than to be honest. Immediately before hopping on here, we had a super not fun situation with my little kids, and nail polish was involved. And as you can see, I am real frustrated about it. And for a good long time, I was like, what's the point of even doing this show today? What is the point? And you should just cancel. And I was real close to doing that. And then I was like, you know what? There is the ability, regardless of how challenging a situation is, and this is just nail polish, it's no big deal. It will get cleaned up. Like, it's no big deal. But there is always the opportunity to manage our minds. And as I was, kind of like recollecting myself and trying to calm down and looking at the nail polish in the sink where my small children had gotten their hands on some and decided to get really creative in the sink, I just sort of like, I could hear the voice of, I told you so. I told you so. You shouldn't have done that. Why are you even bothering? I could hear that voice louder and louder and louder and louder. And I honestly was just like, nope, no, thank you. Not today. Not today. And so I'm being honest because, to be honest, I don't really know how else to do it. Like, because I was so frustrated, like literally 5 minutes ago. And so I was like, might as well be transparent about it. And share with you that it is possible, even in the most frustrating of situations, to take a thought that's in your head and, like a eraser on a whiteboard, to literally just say goodbye. That is just a thought. So the thought just 5 minutes ago that was permeating my brain, the thought that was permeating my brain was, what is the point? And don't do this. And thank you. And that you're a fraud and a failure, and that's why you shouldn't do the show. And if I had listened to that thought, I wouldn't be here. And if I had listened to that thought, I would probably give up on a lot of things, if I'm being really honest. Like, I'd probably give up on a lot of things if I just sort of listened to the thought in my head of, you are a fraud. There'd be a lot of things that wouldn't happen. There'd be a lot of things that wouldn't get completed. There'd be a lot of things that just, like, to be honest, like, just wouldn't happen. And this is the importance of recalibration and managing our minds. And it's why it is the hill I'm going to die on. You know what I mean? This is the hill I will die on, in the sense that I believe that every mom needs to learn mind management, because it is the thing that separates you from action and inaction. Think about that for a second. So if you feel like it, not that I want to dwell here for too long, but feel free to put in a challenging situation that happened to you recently, and just like put it into the chat where, it was just like incredibly frustrating, and maybe you cried, kind of like I'm crying. Well, here's the thing, and this is why it's the hill I'm going to die on. Because here's the power of mind management. It allows you to change direction. So it's, again, I sometimes use this reference when I'm coaching clients, and I know I've used it here on this show. This whole idea of the choose your own adventure book. So I'm 37. And when I was in I want to say grade 1, grade 2, maybe a little older, grade 3, grade 4, maybe, there was this collection of books called Choose Your Own Adventure. And it was like, you were like in the book, and then it would be like, to open the door and find out what's on the other side, go to page 13, or to turn around and run home, go to page 51. And I loved those books. Let me know in the comments if you also were a choose your own adventure type of reader. But I think it's a really great illustration for us as moms that you can choose a path, and via a whole bunch of other choices, it will lead you to one destination. But you could also choose another path, and it can lead you down a whole other set of activities. Will you reach your end destination? Ultimately, yes, very possibly. But could one path be simpler, more efficient, more fun? Could another path be way more drama, way more challenge, and, to be honest, like painful? And that, to me, those choose your own adventure moments. So I had a moment in the bathroom when I was looking, it was like 11, whatever, 11:58. And I was in the bathroom and I was looking at the nail polish all over my sink, and I had to make a choice. And I said to myself, okay, you can continue to wallow, Lisa, and be mad and get yourself even more mad. And then you'll just be even more mad in 2 minutes when you come on here by your own choice to do this show. Or you can take a deep breath, which is ultimately what I chose to do. You can take a deep breath. You can decide the kind of energy you want to bring, and you can decide the kinds of thoughts that go along with that energy. It all begins in the mind. I just hate to say it, but that is it. The decision of, like, do I choose good or do I not choose good? Do I choose hope or do I choose the opposite of hope, despair? Do I choose, whatever, blank and blank? And again, it's a very important distinction here that this is not about toxic positivity. This is a very, very, very important distinction. This is not about just looking for the good in a situation. This is not about saying something to yourself like oh, but amazing, you had nail polish to begin with. Other people aren't, don't have it. They're not as fortunate to have nail polish. Like, no, because you can acknowledge that a situation is crappy, and you can acknowledge that you are upset about it, and you can be in that, for that emotion, because we're human beings. You can be in that emotion, but the key is that you don't stay there. And so that's just what I want to share with all of you. Do you want to see the nail polish? If I get enough comments saying yes, I will walk my computer into the bathroom and I will show you, just so that we can all feel, a little bit more solidarity. And before I get all the comments in my DMs, because I always get them, where was the nail polish in the beginning? What's the lesson I can learn in this? The lesson I can learn in this is you have to put 3 blocks on your bathroom door. I'm just kidding. The issue was the nail polishes were like tucked away in a box, but still in reach of where my toddlers could see them. And so, of course, here's the thing that I've learned from a friend of mine, my parenting expert, Sarah Rosensweet. And I love what this woman puts out. I just shared something of hers in my Instagram stories today. You can check it out at Lisa Canning. But she has really helped me in what you do in the moment, right? So when a child, so I had her coach me on one of my Possibility Mom conferences back in 2020, the very first one I ever did. I was telling her how my 4-year-old James, this was a year ago, so when he was 3, loved to get into my expensive face oils and face creams. And I kept telling her, I was like, I put them up high, he finds a way to climb. I put a lock on the door, but I put the key in a place that, like, so it's still accessible to me, but not as accessible to him. He still finds a way to climb up and get the key, da 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 da. And she shared this resource of stop, drop, and roll. I thought it was so interesting. Stop, drop, and roll. And the stop was literally put your hand on your mouth, like stop. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to make sure my guest is coming with my very special guest who is also very good at this. Okay, so stop, drop, and roll. So when something like that happens with the child, so James, 3 years old, dumping all the face oil. Stop. Like literally, she's like, stop. If you have to physically put your hand on your mouth, stop. Then she shared, drop. Drop the agenda. So you are mad because your expensive face oil is whatever, being dumped out, but you drop that agenda. And then her version of roll is like, let's appropriately tidy this up or appropriately reprimand in an age appropriate way. And then literally move on to another activity. And then of course I would add the step of where else can you put the facial oil or how can you teach your child obviously what to do. I'm just going to make sure that my very special guest, who also really cares about ensuring that we treat children in a way that is appropriate, gets my invitation to join us. So stop, drop, and roll. And we can, because here's the thing that so ready, I'm going to walk you over. Okay. So I'm walking you over. We're going into my bathroom. I'm going to show you the wonderful incident. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? So this is cleaned up. It was maybe 5 times as bad. Like, it was all here. It was all like on the front. And like, that's me taking like, I don't know, maybe a good 5 minutes with like a scraper and all the things. So that was the case. So that's my transparency moment. That's my, here I am doing my thing, trying to be honest, trying to be transparent, and just, this is me. So I'm really excited to bring on my very special guest. I see Teresa. I appreciate what you're saying. Teresa, yes. I know, it's no fun. And Emily, thank you for the empathy. I joined this live crying because I was having a frustrating situation with my 2 toddlers. Thank you for your confidence. Thanks, ladies. I mean, we're in this together, right? There's just sometimes when, things happen. And again, we always have a choice. Does anyone have a recommendation for me on a product to get all of that stuff out? Well, while we're waiting for my very special guest to join us, I want to share with you that there is still time to grab the Possibility Mom, my book, How to Be a Great Mom and Pursue Your Dreams at the Same Time. However, yours does not have to have coffee on it. Yours can be completely non-coffee stained. And if you order it today on Amazon, it will arrive in time for Mother's Day. And so there you go. Yours can have no coffee on it. And you can grab that for yourself as a gift, either for yourself or for a special dream chasing mom in your life. Well, thank you everybody for coming alongside my little emotional honesty party today. To be honest, it has always gotten me farther in life to be honest about what's going on rather than not. I would say for a good portion of my life, I lived in a way where appearances were so utterly important. And I would, as a result, not be honest with what was going on. I would suppress emotions. I would deflect things. I would blame things on other people. I wouldn't take accountability for my actions. And it took quite a bit of learning and growing and mentorship to realize that there is another way where you can be honest and vulnerable, and to be very frank at the heart of it, be yourself. And that is very okay. And it took a lot of journeying to get to that point. And the woman who I'm bringing on next was a big part of that story. And so I am so excited to bring to the Possibility Mom Live my very dear friend, Mona Corwin. Mona Corwin.
For that emotion, because we're human beings.
I have to turn you off.
You can be.
Turn me off.
Are you there?
How are you?
I can't hear you. Let me see.
Mona Corwin is the founder of the Moms Like Us Academy. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Oh my goodness, we're here. So Mona Corwin is the founder of the Moms Like Us Academy. Mona is the founder of the No Mom Left Behind Blueprint. Did I get that right, Mona?
No regrets.
No regrets. No regrets. No Mom Left Behind is it's kids left behind. That was like a education thing. So the No Regret Motherhood Blueprint. Mona, for anyone who does not know who you are and what you do, can you just introduce yourself to us?
I would love to. I'm Mona Corwin. I'm an author, a speaker, a podcaster, and most of all, I am a mom coach, which is why I do all those other things. And I have 5 kids. Yes, I do. And they're all grown. And I live to tell the tale. And look, I still have a smile on my face. And I've been married for over 40 years to my high school sweetheart, Warren. And I still get the giggles when the man comes in the door. I know you hear women say that all the time, but I don't know how many women say it after 40 years. But I have to tell you, it's absolutely true. And sweetie, I've known Lisa for quite a while. And sweetheart, I am so sorry you had a bad morning. I love you. We need to shut this down and go mentor a little bit.
You're right.
Your mom mentor, yeah.
I promise I'm fine. I am very grateful I have developed the skills at this point to be able to manage my mind well. It is probably the greatest gift I think I can give my family is the ability to manage my mind in challenging situations.
This is true.
But thank you. Thank you for that offer. So I want to share with people how we met because it's an interesting story.
It's kind of the same story.
It is a similar story. I'm always crying when I'm with you. But it's an interesting story and an interesting story into the topic that I want to talk about today, which is, do you need a mom mentor? And so what I want to share is how we met. So we were at a Michael Hyatt conference, and this conference changed my life. I talk about it in my book, The Possibility Mom. But one of the biggest fruits of it was not only everything I learned from the conference and the big life-changing decisions I made, but meeting you. And so do you remember where we first actually met?
Yeah.
Where was it?
Really hungry. And I was sitting in line at the buffet.
So you were in line at the buffet. I was behind you, and I was having all of these things stirred up in me. At that time, if you're familiar with my story, it was just after my minivan meltdown. It was when I was asking all these questions about, should I be working? Should I be working this much? Like, how do I balance family life and work life more? And I was also asking myself a lot of questions about what it meant to live authentically. What did it mean to just be myself without fear? And we ended up talking about that. And it resulted in me literally crying on your shoulder for
Yeah.
like, I don't know how long in the lineup to go get food.
I still never got the mascara off my shirt. No, I'm kidding.
And what then resulted was a really beautiful friendship and a mentorship, of course, um, in journeying with a mom who was farther along in the journey than me. So, Mona, you call yourself the mom mentor. What does it mean to have a mom mentor?
Well, it is really, I have to go back to this, Lisa, because I'm, my mom mentor heart is still wanting to massage you, to love on you. But I want to remind you of something, sweetheart. When that conference was over, I gave you something, and I gave you something because I knew that this was going to be hard for you, and I knew you had what it takes. Tell the girls what I gave you.
I still have it. It's in my bathroom, and and what's so cool about it is that it's not like you went to a store. It's not like you had it Amazon to your hotel room. You literally took it off your wrist. Like it was something you owned that you took off your wrist. And it was a beautiful bracelet that had the word fearless. And I have that to this day. Like it makes me emotional just talking about it, because that was the place where I had the greatest amount of pain. I was so afraid to be myself, just full stop. I was so afraid to open up parts of my life that were perhaps not as pretty on the outside or what have you. And that bracelet was such a gift, such a treasured gift, and both from the word that was on it, but also because of the fact that you literally took it off your wrist to give to me.
Okay, so now let me tell you what a mentor does. A mentor takes something that she knows to be true, that's part of her, like that bracelet was part of me and what I knew to be true about me and what I had been gone through, and you pass it on to someone else. That's what mentoring is. It really is that. Now, a lot of people don't want to do that because sometimes when you give something like that, you give something that says fearless on it, then you have to explain what you were afraid of, what you were going through, what was junky for you, and how you got through it. And then to encourage the other mom or give them advice or whatever they needed in the moment that they needed. And that's what mentoring is. And so a lot of women don't want to mentor. Number one, they think that girls, moms or women that are younger than them really don't want to know what they have to say, which that's a total lie. So finding a mentor is hard. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But being a mentor is nothing more than coming alongside someone that is like-minded in an area that you kind of know something about, with empathy and compassion and just listening. And then for me, because I'm a Christian mom mentor, I am praying while someone's talking to me and then trying to discern what exactly is going on here and what direction I can point them, what thing we can study, what might be missing. And one of my favorite phrases that Lisa taught me is to be able to say, may I offer you a suggestion?
If I may.
Like, have you ever thought of this? Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So I've learned a few things from you too. And that's the beauty of mentorship, because when the older generation that is full of wisdom and experience comes alongside the younger generation that is full of passion and excitement, when those two things mesh together and they are infused together, something wonderful happens. And it is super, super special. And it is the thing that the enemy does not want us to do, because they want the older generation to think, oh, no, nobody likes me. I don't have anything to offer. My life's over. I'm going to get depressed. I'm just going to stay home. And the younger generation is like not getting the help that they need. And it's like, girl, did I really just hear you talk to your man like that? Maybe we should have a talk. Like, there isn't anybody to come alongside. Mm-hmm. And in our culture, mentoring has always been in the workplace. Mm-hmm. If you were in the insurance business, the first thing you did was find the older guy to show you all the tricks to be able to go. And they'll say, oh, well, what you need to do is get into your field and find a mentor. Do we not say that? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to home and family and mothering, which is it is the most important thing in our lives, to be able to take care of our children and pass on legacy to our children, we end up in regret because we don't find the help that we need. And we don't know. No one helps us. No one teaches us, which is why I started the Academy, because there isn't a school for moms. Well, now there is, but there isn't a school for moms to learn how to do the most important thing. And we prepare everybody for everything. Like, we can't do a choose your own adventure book when you're mothering. You can't say, okay, I want to run back home. You can't. You got the kids. You got to move forward. You got to go. You got to get through the chapters. And I think that a mom mentor is something that's really, really valuable, and it's important. And I usually have a waiting list for people to come and sit with me, because even older women don't think they have what it takes. And I think that's just a lie too. But anyways, does that help?
Yeah, I want to go back to something you mentioned, where the older mom might be like, oh, no one wants to hear from me. I'm like passe, I'm irrelevant, or what have you. And I definitely, from some of the women that I coach that are farther ahead of me in my journey, I hear that from them. But the thing I really want to highlight is what I have observed as the mindset of some, not all, but some of the younger moms. And it's this feeling like, I should already know this. So let me tease this out a little bit. My observation is that there are some who really feel like, well, I should already know this. Like, I should already know how to be patient. I should already know. And there's this sort of sense of like failure even before they've started. So first of all, is that something that you see also? And what do we do about that?
Yes, yes, yes. Can you tell how excited I am to say yes? Actually, this is what I think is the result of not preparing moms. I mean, how many of us, and in the chat, you can even say, how many of you got ready to leave the hospital and said, I can't believe they're letting me take this baby home. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, how many of us even took a class on how to bathe a baby? Right? Right. And it is this sense that we know we don't know, because guess what? We don't know. And so we have a sense as a mom that we should be able to wing this. I'll just get it as I go. And then we don't. And in our culture, we used to have moms and aunties and grandmas and grandpas. Well, grandpas didn't talk about moms, but you know what I mean? We had family around us so that we could be watching. We could, people that we know and love us would come alongside of us and explain things to us. And we don't have that anymore. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of alone. I also believe that, and I'm not slamming social media, because I don't think it's all of our problems. I think there are other problems that are in culture that are the problems. But we think that everybody knows but me. And if they knew how bad I was failing, they would think I was the worst mother in the world. And that is rampant. I thought it for sure. And sweetheart, those of you that are listening, that is not true. You're a mom that is needing some help. And that's it. That's it. Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah, this is something you and I are so aligned on, that you can have all the encouragement, but if there's not skills backing up that encouragement, right? So there's so many messages of, you can do it. Yay, moms are amazing. Moms are powerful, la, la, la. But if there's not at the exact same time, like, here's how you make dinner without burning it, or here's how you whatever, like, lay things out in the morning so that your mornings are not as chaotic, or here's how you season a cast iron pan, you don't use soap, like all those kinds of things, like things that I have learned from you. um you can't just have the encouragement. The encouragement has to be coupled with skills. So now you mentioned something really interesting that I talk about often, and how we used to live in community. We used to have multi generations often living in the same house, even. And so there was so much more opportunity for a younger mom to learn. They weren't isolated. We
Right.
don't really live that way anymore. I mean, I'm sure obviously there are some parts of the world that's very popular, but in, the United States and Canada, I'm sure parts of Europe, it's still, or it is now, very, very different. So when we don't have this intergenerational or communal experience, Mona, how do we seek out mentors? And how do you find a mom mentor?
Yeah. Well, that's why I have a waiting list, because once they find out that you do it, they want to do it with you, because we innately know we need help. And the thing that we want to do is, we don't want to screw up our kids, and we don't want our marriages to fail, like across the board. We do not want that. But we're getting crushed by motherhood just because we have a lack of knowledge. It's not because we're not good moms. It's not because it's not even because we don't have grandma in the house. It's because we just don't have the information. Once I told you about this cast iron skillet, the information was there. You didn't need a seminary degree to work your skillet. So there is things that you can do as a mom to find mentors. And another problem that I'm seeing is that we are seeing like 3-point Pinterest. The moms that I know are not afraid to ask for help. They're not afraid to ask questions because they're used to Googling everything. They're excited to, how do I stop yelling at my kids? I don't know. Let me see. Right?
Right.
So they're not afraid to ask questions. It's where they're getting the answers. They're getting partial answers. They're getting why, and they're getting what. And they might even get 3 suggestions, but they're not getting how. And they're not getting the depth to it. So that even when they learn something new, you can have a pan that is really, really great on the stove, but if someone hasn't taught you how to make a roux, or someone hasn't taught you how to brown things properly with oil and butter instead of just one or the other, that rhymed, then you are not going to be able to do the thing that you need, which was cooking.
Yes.
So to find a mom mentor, of course, you can always contact me. I believe Lisa is a very good mentor for the things that she has, and the women's school is a really great curriculum for that. The best thing to do is find someone, number one, that is like-minded. So if you're a Catholic mom, and your faith is important to you, then you should be finding an older woman that's a Catholic mom that can help you through things. If you, so someone that is like-minded in, let's say, faith, or perhaps values and principles, maybe they are someone that they've written a book. So you're like, how did you write a book and have kids? And like, how did you do this? And how did you do that? When you see a person that is kind of a mirror of the things you'd like to see in your own life, then that's a person that might possibly be a great mentor. When you approach that person, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to pause there because it's an interesting thing to ponder. Because let's just take discipline, for example.
Mm-hmm.
This continues to be something I'm navigating, obviously, as I have children who are getting older, right? I would say
nail polish and this stuff. Like, do you cut off their hands? Do you like what do you do?
Well, and the interesting thing about the stages of kids and having as many kids as I've had, I have parented a toddler now approximately like 7 times. Like Colleen, the baby, will become a toddler soon. But I've 7 times I've experienced similar nail polish incidences. And so I have some experience. I have a little bit of tenacity. I at this point know that it's not personal or it's not like the end of the world, that mess is going to get cleaned up. But of course, the first time it was the end of the world and it was the worst reflection of me and yada, yada, yada. But the thing is that I am now in the stage where I'm experiencing a lot of firsts. So with my oldest child, there are lots and lots and lots of firsts as we go through puberty and independence and all the things. And I have called Mona many times seeking her counsel on how to deal with individual things for my older kids. But the reason why I mention this in this notion of finding someone ahead of you in the journey where you like how they have handled it. And this is the interesting thing with you, Mona. I can see how your kids have turned out. I think this is an interesting thing. And it's not, it's not a perfect science, obviously, but when you can find someone and you see their kids are generally, of course, it's not always a perfect science, but that their kids are respectful, that their kids treat their parents well, and this is the cool thing about you having adult children. You see the fruits of the many, many years of nail polish incidences, right? You see like, okay, this is what happens when you gently and appropriately correct a child. Like they turn into responsible, caring, with it adults, right? I don't know if we have that much time to go into this topic, but one thing that I'm very inspired with you is patriotism. You've taught your children what it looks like to be a decent citizen, which I think is really interesting. And so I want to encourage everybody to go over and look at some of the resources that Mona has on all those kinds of things. But to wrap this up, that to find someone who you admire, where if you were, I love the idea of the mirror. If you were to swap places with them, if you will, at the stage in life that they're in, you would be good with that, And so I think that's a really interesting thing to consider. So what's the next thing that we do, Mona?
Okay, there's one more thing I forgot to say.
Yeah.
We were talking about that. Because some of us, I have 5 children and you have 8. And I'm still waiting for you to call me and tell me you're pregnant again. But it is okay. So how do you pick the age of the woman? It is my experience that the person who you are wanting to help you with teenagers should be 2 stages ahead of where you're at. Not 1 stage ahead. They're not just out of the teenage years, but they've had teenagers and they've had college kids. That's who you want to find for you. So because Lisa has kids of all ages, she's going to be, you're going to be good for everything under that teenage year.
Yes.
Be a mentor to someone.
Yes.
But you're not going to be really helpful to someone who's got a 16-year-old.
No.
Right? Because that's when you're fellow journeymen. And we need fellow journeymen to go with us through this, to go with us through the whole mom thing. But when you're looking for a mentor, they should be two stages ahead of you, at least. I have mentors. I had to go to one of my mentors recently and say, my husband's getting ready to sell his business and I was freaking out. And so I went to her and I said, okay, what did you do when your husband was getting ready to sell his business? And so we're always going to be in a place where we need mentors. So,
I love that.
Now you were asking me what's next. Well, the next thing you do is you ask them. You ask them for coffee and let them know you'd like to talk to them about some things that are going on in your marriage or with your kids, or I just like to pick your brain, whatever. Just offer to take them to coffee. One of the things that I found that is a little sad is that what people think that mom mentoring should be free. And we have to address this because there's, it's the idea that, well, because it's home and it's kids, then you should do this for free, and you are a church lady, so you should do it for free. And that's not necessarily the case. So I would like to encourage you that the very least buy the woman coffee, the very least buy her lunch, the very least send her flowers or something afterwards, the very least to thank her, and in a way that is good. But I think that we should, in this culture, and because moms and aunties aren't around, that we should take the level of mentoring with moms to the level of everything else that we do. You would take a mentoring for how to have a business. Well, let me tell you something. Kids is a messy business. So you want a mom mentor that is really going to be there for you and is used to doing that, then you might just have to pay for one, but it will be worth it. It will be worth it.
It makes me think of how many things we treat professionally, right? So like if I wanted to become an accountant, I would go to school. If I wanted to become a lawyer, obviously I'd go to school. If I wanted to be a surgeon, I would be going to school, I'd be getting training. Even lesser things, or not lesser, but I just mean recreational things we have to get like a license for. Like if I want to fish in the state of Florida, I have to have a license, but there is very little available to a mom by ways of training. And I've always thought that's just so fascinating. And so to view motherhood professionally, what does that mean to you?
Oh my gosh, that is it. Like, it's time to take your motherhood pro, and we've got to stop winging it and start winning it. We got to stop being crushed by motherhood and crush motherhood. All my cute little sayings. But the truth is, if you want to be good at something, sweetheart, you're going to have to learn it. And the information is there, and you just have to find it. And you have to find it in a reliable, safe, trusted space that you feel is trusted and reliable. And, just buying the next book that came out on discipline isn't necessarily going to get you there. It's a good step, but to apply it to your own life, that's where we need it. We need the action that is applied to our uniqueness. And that's where a mentor can help. But that's why I started the academy. And every month we have a new expert. And every month that expert goes deep. We even had a Christian sex therapist one time. Like, we need to get you information so that you can implement it into your life, along with the mentoring that comes alongside and that says, hey, how's it going? It's like, I don't know, this lady said this, and then I told my husband, and he, blah, blah, blah. And so that is a safe place to share. It's not always a safe place to share with your mom. It's certainly not your mother-in-law. And, and sometimes you don't want to tell your friends. So yeah, I think that learning things and taking your motherhood pro is the gig. We need to raise the level of motherhood in our culture. And the way we do it is by treating it as something valuable and learning it.
Yeah, I love that so much. Can you imagine if every mom treated motherhood like a profession and up-leveled their skills in all the areas? So let's just talk really quickly about one of those areas. And my favorite way to learn from you is cooking. So if you don't follow Mona on Instagram, you got to go follow her. What's your name on Instagram again?
Mona_Corwin.
So she will do these fun in her kitchen type things that make you feel like you're literally in the kitchen with her. She's showing you how to make the heat high, and then take it off the heat, and then scrape up all the brown bits and all the things that I just never learned, to be honest. I mean, my mom definitely taught me some skills in the kitchen, but number one, she cooked a lot of Filipino food, so I never really learned how to cook another type of food, right? And I guess, I don't know, maybe I just didn't remember. I don't know. I definitely didn't retain a lot of information that she shared. So Mona, give us if you had to give one tip for a mom who feels lost in the kitchen, what is one simple thing she could implement this weekend?
It's going to be that iron skillet. It's going to be that iron skillet. If you don't have an iron skillet, then go to Target. They're like $30. I think they're even cheaper. Lodge has the best one. I've researched them all. And when you are browning it, you get that iron skillet up really hot. Okay. Just turn it on, get it really hot, and then turn it down, put in your, like 2 tablespoons of, not olive oil. Isn't that interesting? Olive oil gets too hot. So you put in some kind of oil. I use grapeseed oil. You can use avocado oil and 2 tablespoons of butter. And that keeps the butter from burning, but it doesn't make it taste greasy like oil because the butter has all the flavor. Then you dry your meat, put some seasoning on it. I just did this the other night, and you put it in there and it's hot. And if the butter is bubbling just a little bit, that's when you know it's perfect to put that in there. And you lay your meat in there, and then you just let it sit and turn the heat up a little bit. And then you turn it over after 4 or 5 minutes, and then you watch it again. Now, after you're done, you take that meat out. And this is the little bits that Lisa was talking about. You kind of scrape it with a spatula, right? And get those little brown crusties. You want to have those little brown crusties in there. And after you do that, then you pour in something wonderful, and it will make a gravy, and you put your chicken back in. That's wonderful can be, I know you're going to ask me. It can be chicken broth. It could be, oh my gosh, I just did one that had like I just make it in my special cup, and it's my secret sauce cup. And I put in teriyaki and a little bit of soy sauce and apple juice and something to make it sour, which was apple cider vinegar. And I poured it in there, and all of that bubbled up, and I scrape, kind of cleans the pan up. Put at that time I was making sausage, put chopped up cabbage in it, poured that over there with a cut up green apple. Friend, it was amazing. The sauces are the trick.
Yeah.
So, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I love doing this, but when I do it, I'm just cooking dinner. I don't have like special little bowls sitting out. Sometimes you have to walk with me to the refrigerator. I mean,
I've learned so much from you. Okay. What is your best marriage tip for a long lasting, still get giddy marriage?
Okay. There might be children in the room. So I would say, gosh, I have so many. She's laughing.
I'm plugging my ears because I'm afraid of what you're going to say. What do you?
I never give details. Never. So you're fine. I think that if you ask my husband and I when we're together, why our marriage has lasted so long, my husband will always pep up and say, it's because we outserve one another.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he says with a smirk on his face, and I'm winning. So we do that. I literally wake up every single morning and think, after I thank the Lord and I say a prayer, I look over at my inspiration wall of all the reasons why I'm not going to let the enemy talk to my head. I believe in mindset too. And then I think to myself, okay, what can I do for Warren today? I promise you, I read my Bible every day. I pray every day, and I do that. Say that to myself every single day. And it's not unusual for me to come out and find a coffee cup waiting me next to my amazing coffee maker that we bought together, and for there to be extra hot water in there with my cup already heated up. It's not unusual at all. So I think that is the secret to a good marriage, is to learn to serve one another in a loving way. Yep.
I want to say that again, because obviously it was a bit joking, but I also think there's so much to that statement. Like, we outserve each other, because I think in marriage, especially in the earlier years. So Josh and I, if Josh was here in the room with me, I think he would say the same thing.
Sure.
You're finding yourself. You're growing into yourself. You've never lived. There's all kinds of new things you're navigating, right? And there's also inevitably some power struggles that get worked out because you've never had to make two lives become one. And then every new thing that happens, like a new child or you move or a new job, there's just continuous, inevitable new things to learn. Now, in my experience, so I've been married, it'll be 14 years this December. I would say the first 5 years was a lot of that, and then I would say the next 5 years was, I would say, more maturing. There's a mature for us in our story. I would say that was a season of maturing. I think that was a season for us of learning how to lay down our lives for each other in some ways and all that jazz. And so now I would say we're in a season where we kind of know how each other ticks. We're always learning new things about each other, surely. But it is another, I would say, season of maturity. My husband might chime in and be like, "No, it's not." But I think this is another season and I want to highlight that point of how you continue to serve each other, because I think for some people there might be a temptation to be like, I don't want to say boredom. That's not the right word, but more like mundane. It's like we it's just more of the same. We've been doing this. Especially in this time of coronavirus, I think this word mundane or languishing
Oh,
can be, yeah, I know, so sad. But if you can always think of how can I outserve my spouse, I just think that's a very powerful posture to take on.
I agree. And it doesn't have to be like even something that you're like making his lunch, or literally it can be something silly. Like we have this teddy bear that we hide on one another. And it's about this big. And we hide it in like it's actually my turn. And so I hide it somewhere in his life. It can be in his golf bag. I can get his secretary to hide it in a filing cabinet. I mean, I just hide it. I've hid it in his car. I've hid inside of a sock. And then when like I hide it, and then when he finds it, then he gets to decide what treat he wants. And it might be going out to dinner. It might be golf. It might be a back rub. It might be just a quiet night at home, or it might be something else. So there's that sense of fun and adventure. And we believe in adventure. And I believe in adventure in marriage. And I don't think that means you have to spend a lot of money to do that. And that's part of living with no regrets. And if you don't know to do that, then you are going to reach your 60th birthday and have regrets. I remember standing at my own 60th birthday and looking around and seeing all my kids and all my friends and thinking, I wouldn't have, I mean, of course I have regrets. That's why I do what I do. I have lots of regrets for some of my stuff, but I know that in all, I worked really hard and we made it to a place where I didn't have very many regrets. And that's what I want for moms. And you know how they learn it? Just by what happened. I told you one thing. How many of you are going to find a little something funny? It could be a frog. It could be anything. Mm-hmm. And do that for him. There's another thing. It's a plug for Dating Divas, but yeah. I have on my phone, I get it on Wednesday. I get one. Warren gets one on Monday, a text message. And then we both get one on Friday. And it's just a text message that gives us fun little things to keep our marriage alive. And they're fun. And I'd be happy to share that with you. But finding a way to make fun and make it adventure. Men want fun and they want adventure. They do. And learning what a man is and what a woman is and what they need isn't about personalities. It isn't about Enneagrams. It isn't about, Braxton, whatever it is, Briggs. I was going to say Braxton Hicks. I'm such a mom. But it isn't about those things. It's about the way God created them and the way they're designed. And I love teaching that. I teach that often. But anyways, so make it fun and make it adventurous. Yeah.
I love it so much. So you have got a resource that I would love to share with my audience.
If
someone has listened to this interview and they are seeking mentorship, they would like to live without regret in their motherhood, where can we send them?
Okay, well, there's a link that I sent you that you can only get into this course a certain time of the year, because once I get my moms in there, then I am all in with them and they have my full attention till they're finished with the course. And I literally mentored them through the course. And it's the No Regrets Motherhood Blueprint, how to raise godly kids in a world that's gone crazy, because that's exactly what it is. But it will lay it out uniquely for your own family and your marriage and everything. So, but because I'm on with you, Lisa, I am going to take another extra group for the summer. So it is open, but it is only open within your because I'm on your show. So if you have girls that are on your show that want to do that, then just click the link, and it's $47. It's really reasonable, because to sit with a mom mentor will cost you $100 an hour. So, and you get 3 months in the academy, so you can see what's going on inside the academy. So it's a really good deal. I just want to help moms, and yeah, it's a really cool thing. So just click that link and you can sign up. I will close it pretty quickly though, within the next couple of days.
This is a mom that I'm so happy to have on speed dial. And if you would like to have Mona Corwin, quote unquote, on speed dial, I want to encourage you to look at the link in the description below. Mona, I am blessed to have you in my life. I am grateful that you're here. Thank you for always being such a kind and nurturing mentor to me. I will never forget that, that day that we met, and you have been there for me for so many different occasions in my life. And I am grateful for you. Thank you, Mona. Bye. Oh, my friends. Well, listen, this was fun. I'm grateful for the experience of doing this. I'm grateful for the gift of motherhood, and I'm grateful for the gift of you. It is Mother's Day this weekend. And so I want to encourage you that if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling like there were, times where you do have regret, if you're feeling like there are things that you could have, should have, would have done, or what have you, that there is always room to grow, and that there is always hope. If you know me by now, I'm always talking about the fact that there is always hope. And so this Mother's Day, I wish you just a wonderful Mother's Day. Remember that you can bring whatever thought you want to it. And if you're still struggling with some thoughts and need some more hope, you can definitely grab my non-coffee stain version of my book on Amazon to be delivered right in time for Mother's Day. And you can do that by checking out the link below. Alrighty, my friends, we will see you next week with my very special guest, Amanda Teixeira, where we're going to be talking about money, and how to get it, how to save it, how to honor it, be a good steward of it. And tune in next week to the Possibility Mom Live for Amanda. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great Mother's Day weekend.